Hey there, this is Mara and welcome back to my art break life. Now today is my day 11 of my thankful vlogmas. I can't believe it's almost over already. I thought that doing 25 days of vlogmas was a little bit overwhelming, and I was right. Doing 12 days was actually pretty stressful because I'm not doing typical vlog style where I'm taking you around, because I want to just do art. I'm so thankful you guys are here and that you're watching and you're joining me for my evening art breaks. Ever since I was young,
I love art supplies.
so finding new art supplies and playing with them has been a favorite of mine. I would go to the art section of every store and just kind of ooh and ah the different art supplies, but I never bought anything or delved into it because I thought it was something that I wasn't doing at the time, but now I get to play with them. When I discovered Archer and Olive and their acrylograph pens, I thought,
well, let's give this a try.
and they remind me very much of the metallic silver and gold pens that we used to use to sign our yearbooks when we were in high school. And I believe those are oil-based or alcohol oil-based because they're very they would leave like ghosting lines around whatever you wrote. But these are water-based and I'm actually really enjoying them. But there's one fallback to the Archer and Olive acrylograph pens, is that they're
Expensive.
like really, really expensive. And the nice part is that they give you a nice variety of colors, and I would say not a lot, but enough to get you by for whatever spread you're doing. But it seems like for the cost, it was just so pricey. And so I went on Amazon,
Of course.
and looked up different types of acrylic paint pens to see if there was similar ones like it. And I found these. There was a bunch of them, but I just chose this one here. This is the Antree Acrylic Paint Pens. And the reason why I chose this one is because the tip on this was pretty much exactly like the Archer and Olive ones. So I wanted to see how similar they were. I know Archer and Olive, they don't make their own acrylic pens. They probably private label it through a company, probably a company like this. And so that's why I wanted to see if there was a similar pen that performed just as good as the Archer and Olive one that I had first discovered, because I have no experience with any other pens. So I got this and I'm excited to give it a try. So I'm going to do some swatching on the white notebook and also the black one to see what they both look like and how they perform. And then I'm going to try figure out something to do with these pens. But I'm pretty excited because if they do work out really well, this is a cheaper alternative to buying the acrylograph pens. I'm going to point you down here to see these swatches on these pens. So I pulled out my white dot grid journal just to kind of give me an idea of what these colors look like on the white color paper. And what I noticed is that the colors are very vibrant. They basically they were floating on the surface of the paper. Whereas when I opened up the Archer and Olive pens, surprisingly, the colors were very translucent, and I kept shaking them and trying to activate them, but for some reason I couldn't get the paint to flow, and I'd have to really sit there and push down the tip just to get the paint to come out. And then after they were activated and I guess mixed well, the paint came out fine on the paper. But it was almost like the Archer and Olive pens were just sinking into the paper, whereas the Antree pens were doing what they were supposed to do and float on the surface. Now, I don't know if that's because the pens are brand new versus the Archer and Olive ones being already used only once. I've only used these pens once before, when I first got them. I didn't know why it seemed like the ink was just kind of soaking into the paper versus floating on top of the paper and covering it like it should. And when I went to the black paper, it did the same thing, where the Antree pens were working very well, as I expected them to, because they're new. And the Archer and Olive, as much as I shook them and activated them, they still kind of seemed to sink or seep into the paper. And so, but after I got them activated well again, they seem to be working fine. So that's why I'm saying you have to make sure you activate the pens really well before you use them on your paper. So I would always test them on a side piece of paper, just to make sure the pen is working to the way it's supposed to be working before you go onto your good notebook paper. So after playing around with both the Archer and Olive and the generic acrylic paint marker from Antree, I found some differences between the two that are worth noting. Number one, as far as the acrylic paint quality results, they pretty much are similar. As long as they're activated correctly and paint is flowing, the quality in both pens are about the same. The tips on them are exactly the same. It has that same plastic nib with the little slits in it to help the paint flow, and they're both extra fine. And this is a 0.77 millimeter. This doesn't say what size it is, but it looks pretty close in size. The Archer and Olive might be a little bit more pointy, but overall the results look pretty much the same. The second thing I noticed too is that on the generic pens, you can twist this part off to open this portion up. I don't know why you would do that. It's not like you can refill it, but the Archer and Olive does not. So of course you cannot open this. Maybe you can. No, it moves, but you can't like untwist it off by mistake. Like with this pen, I noticed like when I would pull the cap off and on, it starts to kind of untwist this part, and pigment did leak out onto my fingers for a bit. So that's another drawback to this pen. I wish it was just a solid, not screwed in type of piece, then the paint wouldn't come out just like this one. And also it seems like they're the same size diameter bodied. Maybe the acrylograph's just slightly thicker, very slightly, and the Antree pen is shorter, obviously, so it probably holds less pigment. Maybe, I'm not sure, because it looks like the inkwell starts here on this pen, so it might be about the same ink in both these pens. Another thing I like about the generic pens is that the back of the pen is clear, so you can actually see what the pigment looks like, versus the acrylograph you kind of are just guessing and going by the colors they give you. And so that's what I like about this, and you can actually see it bubbling and moving as you shake it. And the hard part about the quality between these two, like comparing the quality between these two, is that I've used these only once before, and these are brand new pens. So of course when they're brand new, they come out beautiful, thick, opaque, very nice. And they both were like that. But when I used these guys from acrylograph pens the second time, I had a really hard time activating them and getting the ink to come out like it did on the first time. And I know it can. It took a lot of shaking and a lot of pressing down on the nib to get that to come out very nicely. So that was one drawback to this. And I can't say that this will happen to this one, because I just opened it today, so I can't tell if maybe a couple of days from now it will have the same problems as the acrylograph. And it seems like the acrylograph has less ink. Like, it feels like when you shake it, like there's nothing in it. But then again, you shake this pen and it feels like there's something in it, and you can see it moving. So I don't know if it's just because I can see the ink versus this one I cannot. I don't know. But those are some significant differences between the two that are both pros and cons for both of them. As far as which one I like better, it's hard to say because they perform both the same. So either pen I pick up, if they're activated correctly, they will perform beautifully. But as far as price goes, this one is the better. Of course, the Antree is a better deal, because I think for the cost of all the pens I got from this set was the cost of a set of one of these. Maybe this was a little less actually than this. And I'm not sure if the quality, because they perform the same, it's kind of hard to say it's better quality. Maybe the casing and everything's a better quality pen, but as far as the results on the page, this performed just as good as this. So, and lastly, the other thing I can think about that's a difference between the two of these is that when you buy the Antree, I believe it comes in different sets, but it's not like you can pick the color hues. So basically you get a smaller set and the bigger set, and I chose the bigger set. But with acrylograph, they have different color families they sell them in. So they have the Bewitched, the Spellbound. So one was more Halloween kind colors, which had a yellowish tone, and the other one had like a grayish muted tone to it. And I'm not saying these pens don't have those types of tones, but they just kind of come and like with all the colors here. It's not like it's separated, or I mean, you can separate it yourself, but and you can't choose the colors you want, obviously. Not that you can choose the colors you want with this one, but at least you can choose color families or tones with these ones here. Versus this one, you kind of get what you get. And it comes with a lot. So, you know, I think it's worth the value, even if you don't get too much of a choice in color from the Antree pens. So I couldn't decide what to draw or what to use these pens for, so I went into my blackout journal because I liked how the pigment shone better on the black versus the white paper. And I decided to list out all the things that I was thankful for during this thankful vlogmas. I know I'm not done yet. I still have tomorrow to do day 12, but I thought I could write out as much as I could since I'm pretty much done. And for my day 11 of this thankful vlogmas, I just want to say I am so thankful for my drive and desire to keep on learning new things, because I feel like there's always something to learn. You're never a pro at anything. Even the professionals always have something to learn no matter what. I appreciate the time I'm taking right now to learn new things, rediscover old passions, and move forward with a hunger to keep on learning. So be it art, be it reading a book, be it figuring out a new way to clean something that's easier than before, it's all fun and it all keeps my mind sharp and me motivated to keep on going. With that said, thank you so much for watching my video. I hope you enjoyed my review of the Antree generic acrylic pens versus the Acrylograph Archer and Olive pens. If you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already. And until next time, you know what to do. Just keep drawing. And this art break is done. Bye guys!